Today we're in Huntsville, Alabama. I just got back from a meeting with a couple of clients, and they are moving from their two-story home. They're empty nesters, and they're going to build a new home. So we're talking about new construction and downsizing. If you have questions about that, this is a good video for you. They actually were so prepared, they had prepared a list of questions for us to go over, and I think these questions are exactly what everyone would be looking for if you're thinking about moving into new construction from your existing home. So we're just going to take their questions, and I'm going to talk to you about their questions. If you have some questions that aren't covered here, just leave them in the comments, and I'll certainly get back to you with those answers. First of all, their primary questions were, what is our home worth, and how much are we going to put in our pocket? What's a conservative estimate for us to use for our new home? And this is the number one question we get as realtors: how much is my home worth? Now, these folks, they're probably about a year and a half away from finishing their new home. So what we're trying to do today is just give them an estimate or a ballpark number on the home. And because the value is going to change, obviously, over the next year, the market's going to change. They just want to get a conservative estimate. What's my home worth after closing? What will they receive from closing as net proceeds? And they're going to use those numbers to determine what kind of home to build. So we're going to look at other homes in the neighborhood. We're trying to look for homes that are approximately the same age, same size and conditions to get a good value for them to work with, and then we can give them an estimated closing statement that deducts the closing cost and fees so that they'll know exactly what they'll walk away with at that price. Now, we're not giving a listing price because the listing price can't be determined until the home is actually ready to go on the market. Because one of the most important things about listing price is what competition is out there when you decide to put your home on the market. Obviously, if there's no one else out there like yours, you have more listing power. If there's 5 homes in the neighborhood just like yours, you don't have as much listing power. So we're just trying to give them a conservative estimate. What's it worth today? What are you going to net? And use that as a basis for planning the cost on your new home. Some of the other questions they have, obviously, what's the size of their home? Talking about new construction loans. When we do pictures for the home, we're going to take the square footage. They had square footage from a previous sale, so that's close enough to use for now. New construction loans, they're different types, and that's a little bit out of our bailiwick. We don't actually do new construction loans, but we do have local lenders who do them all the time. So we can refer you to several local lenders where you can talk about the new construction loans and see what might work for you. Typically, there are 2 types. There's a loan where you can close in advance and then just do the paperwork when the home is finished. And then the typical construction loan, you get a loan and then you take funds out as you go through the build. Now, if you're buying new construction from a local builder who is building a subdivision, they'll have preferred lenders to use, but they're funding the money for the construction, not you. If you're building your own home on your lot, for example, you'll be funding the construction and not the builder. So those are some things to think about. They wanted to know about getting an inspector for their current home and getting it appraised. Definitely not worth having it appraised because we'll do a good enough estimate with other home sales in the neighborhood when the time comes to get a very attractive listing price that will attract a lot of buyers. They're a really conservative couple, and it won't hurt for them to have a home inspection on their current home. They just want to make sure there's nothing there that's significant that would impact the sale or the closing of their home in the future. Typically, you're going to know, if you've been in your home for 5 years or 10 years, you're going to know better than anybody how that home is working, what's right and what's wrong. And if there's nothing that you know of that's significant, there probably isn't anything there. So it may not be worth a home inspection. They're going to cost $400, $500. But for these folks, they want to be very conservative. They want to know in advance if anything major that they might need to address before their home goes on the market. And the next question was exactly like that. If we do have a home inspection and the home inspector identifies things to correct, what do we need to correct? And if there's anything major, things that have to do with health or safety or structure, those things should probably go ahead and be corrected before your home goes on the market. But you don't want to fix everything. The home inspector's list is not a list for you to go through and fix everything on the list, because when you sell your home, the next buyer is going to have a home inspector as well. And you need to leave some stuff for that next inspector to find, because they're not going to collect $300 or $400 or $500 from the next buyer and give them a sheet of paper that's blank and say everything looks good. So it's major things, yes, go ahead and correct them, but for minor things, leave them alone. Leave something for the next inspector to put on his list for your new buyers. And then if that's things that are important to them, you can correct them at that time. They want to know also about the Huntsville market. Is it good? Is it increasing? And what is the outlook? Our Huntsville market is excellent, and our economy is robust here. If there's a top 10 list somewhere, Huntsville's in it as far as economy and job and growth. Our market is slower than it was during the pandemic, obviously. It's been pretty steady for the last couple of years. Our prices have still risen 1 or 2 or 3%. We have not seen significant price declines, but we have seen a decrease in the number of sales. We'll have a lot of good economic news coming in the future. We're talking about the FBI Space Command, new programs for NASA, so things coming. Our economy is very diverse. We have auto plants here. We have 4 universities. We have the largest healthcare system in North Alabama. So there's a lot of good jobs here. We have the second most number of STEM jobs available anywhere in the country. So for college grads in those technical fields, it's a great place to be. And some of their last questions have to do with their specific needs, but some of them that would relate to everyone is how long does it take to build a home, and do contractors typically go over budget on a new build? During the pandemic and a little bit after that, it took maybe a year or 14 months to get a new home built. I think now most of the builders are down to 6 to 10 months for new construction. That's from the time they put a shovel in the ground until the time it's finished. And if going over budget is probably going to happen, but it's probably not the builder. About a third of the budget for new homes are the finishing items: doors, cabinets, windows, treatments, appliances. Those are things that if you don't maintain a tight budget, you will go over your budget when you get down to the finish line, because you've come so far, you're almost there. Your attitude is probably going to be, we're going to get what we want and we're not going to settle for something. And typically that means we're going to pay more. So you should expect to maybe be 10% over on your new home if you've planned very well, and if you maintain a pretty tight budget, that's just typically the way that it goes. If you have any other questions, if you're thinking about new construction, if you're thinking about selling your home, reach out. We'll be glad to help you. We can give you a free evaluation of what your home is worth today, what you would net from closing. We can update you on different builder incentives in the area. There's a lot of good incentives for lower interest rate, paid closing costs, free appliances, window treatments. So reach out and let us help you. I'm Steve Stinson with Keller Williams Realty here in Huntsville. Have a great day.